Now, a new school year can create many challenges for parents, and one that we're all too familiar with is preparing a varied lunchbox that your children will enjoy.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Lunches provide around 1/3 of our daily nutritional needs, so it's important to put some thought and planning into them. And joining us this morning is Dr. Aileen McGloin from Safe Food with advice on putting together a healthy and also a tasty school lunchbox. Good morning to you,
Good
Aileen.
morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Not at all.
It is so important, first of all. You've brought lots of examples and we'll talk through them, but your child's lunchbox, it does need some thought and some consideration, because I know only too well it's very easy to get stuck in a rut of ham and cheese sambos.
And the apple.
And the apple.
Yeah, the apple.
You're absolutely right. And as you said in the beginning, it's 1/3 of their daily intake, so it really counts towards their nutrient intake for the day. And I suppose an easy guide for people is that the lunchbox should contain at least one portion of fruit, veg or salad, maybe two if they're getting older. Some protein foods like an egg or hummus or some tuna or some deli meats. The dairy foods like your yogurt or your cheese or your milk, and the carbohydrates, of course. And there's a whole variety of now. You've got your wraps, preferably whole grain, your bap, your ordinary sandwich, but also your leftover pasta or rice could be useful as well. So what we've got today is, I suppose, a week-long
Will you
array.
walk us through the
Monday
wheel?
to Friday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
I can't tell you that my children's lunchbox is not quite as organised or as colourful as this.
Yeah, next week they will. So here we have a whole grain bap, a small one. These are smaller portions because obviously the kids, they won't have the time or they won't be able to eat it all. So a whole grain bap with cheese and tomato, with some carrot sticks, a little yogurt and a banana. We've got the milk here. So the best drinks for kids in their lunchbox are either milk or water. So you can go for either of those.
I don't think children are allowed to bring any kind of juices into school
Generally
anyway, are
not.
they?
Most schools now have a food policy, and most of them don't allow the sugary drinks.
But even that, Aileen, the importance of drinking water.
Yeah,
during the
hydrating.
day.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
For adults as well, but particularly for the kids in school.
Yeah, because they'll just get tired, and that'll affect their learning as
Yeah.
well. So kids can need up to about 6 glasses of fluid a day, and this has to contribute to that. I mean, they're there for the 6 hours or so, so it's really, really important that they stay hydrated. Younger children might need some guidance on that. The older children will be able to just drink as they want, you know, throughout the day, and the teachers allow that. There's no problem with that.
You're right, though. Younger children do need to be reminded about stuff like that.
They do.
Tuesday, what are we having?
Tuesday, we've got a tuna pitta, a small one. It's got sweet corn in it. We've got our very small scone, again, the small portions for the children. We've got our water, strawberries and a couple of small pieces of fruit here. Very small kids, you know, the starters, will probably do better with things that are cut up. The berries are very good, maybe a little bit of cut up, bit of apple. They'll struggle with the time. You know, this might be the first time they're eating more or less unsupervised. So, you know, just to bear that in mind, that's really important.
I think every parent has heard that line, I didn't have time, Mum.
Yeah, and they do say that, though, you know, well, we didn't have time, because they're kind of given a choice to either, right, you can go out and play now, or you can sit there and do lunch, and they're gone.
Exactly,
out into the yard.
So it has to be easy. They have to be able to eat this fairly quickly. Okay, so we're moving on to Wednesday, and here we've got our leftover pasta. So that's a great, another great way, you know.
So this was dinner from the night before?
Exactly. So, you know, just do a little bit extra sometimes. And for kids who struggle with the sandwiches and what you're putting in the sandwiches, this can be a really good option, because sometimes they're very good on the dinners and not so good on the lunches. So it's just another way to cut it all up. That's got some nice veg in it. We've got our grapes and cheese and crackers, a yogurt and your water. So you've got all the different food groups here.
Yeah. We also
now, can I just ask you about the yogurt? Sorry, Simon. It's low fat. Is that deliberate?
Yeah, so once the kids turn 2, they can have low-fat foods. And we tend to advise lower-fat dairy, because it has the saturated fat in it. Now, it's not obligatory that you have low-fat, especially when you're having a lovely balance like this.
Yeah, because I would have worried that low-fat was high sugar.
No, not necessarily. But do look, it's a very good point, do look at the labels on yogurts, because the amount of sugar varies
depending on the brand.
Exactly. A lot.
Another thing that we might, I don't know whether it needs to come into play, but there might be certain allergies in the classroom. And normally as parents, you're made aware of that if there's a child I know ourselves,
Yeah.
we have a child with a high nut,
Nut
peanut
allergy,
allergy and all
yeah.
that. So you do have to bear that in mind in terms of what you're putting
Yeah.
into the box.
And in the school policy, they'll give you some guidance on that. And it's normally, in fact, it varies from school to school, and normally based on the actual allergies that are being
Yes.
experienced
Yeah.
in that particular school. So my daughter, one of the children has a strawberry allergy, for example. So, and that's fairly unusual,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Now, the people who will struggle with that a little bit are vegetarian children, because they won't be allowed to have their nut butters, which would be, a fairly
Yes, of
staple part
course,
of their
yeah.
diets. But I mean, there are other things. There's the hummus, the egg, and so on.
Yeah.
But people will have to be aware of their own children's needs and the needs of other kids within the class.
Of course, you have to be considerate.
Thursday, I recognise my old friend, the ham sambo.
Yes.
Okay, so everybody
Never
loves
looked as good as that, though, I have to be honest with you.
everybody loves the ham sandwich. So we do have one in for the week, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So you've got your deli meat, you've got a little bit of lettuce. Some children will eat the lettuce, some will prefer a cucumber. You just go with whatever you think the child will eat, and gradually, expand their repertoire. I know lots of children are fairly restricted. This is a lovely idea. We've got our chopped veg, we've got our yogurt again, and then moving on to Friday, the wrap, just for a bit of variety. It's chicken in the wrap. And a little bit of salad. Here we've got stewed fruit, which is also good. Fruit can be fresh, but stewed is also fine. We've got lovely cherry tomatoes. You might want to cut them for the very small children, and you've got your milk again. So it's not, we're not cutting out stars and love hearts and making it very pretty as if it's an Instagram display.
Functional, it's
No,
food.
because it's the real world, and no one has
Exactly.
time for star fruit
It's
and all the
fuel.
rest.
It's fuel to
That's
get them
it,
through the day.
exactly.
This is all great, Aileen, but can I just say, I have tried strawberries, I've tried berries, I've tried the carrot sticks. They come home in the lunchbox untouched. So what do we do if we keep trying it and it keeps coming home soggy and untouched?
It may be that you're giving them, you might want to watch the portions. So for very small children, the half sandwich might be fine, so that they will, be more likely to go for the fruit and veg that's in the box.
Okay.
At least I would start with the ones that are their favourite. So if you know they won't eat the carrot sticks, you might have to do that bit of work at home. So you're trying that on the Saturday for the lunch, and you're gradually expanding the repertoire. But children can be fussy. I mean, this is the real world.
Yeah.
And it does take time to try and build up the variety of foods.
The other responsibility we have then is making sure that everything's safe to eat.
Exactly.
And how you prepare it, how you package it, how you send it into the school. And we have a graphic up there. Some of the tips you're saying, for example, use an insulated bag or a small ice pack.
Yeah, so lots of insulated. Most of the lunch bags are in fact insulated now. You can put in a small ice pack if you want, or you can freeze a little juice box. That does exactly the same job.
Good.
Say to the children, don't put your bag beside the radiator, because that's going to undo all the work of trying to keep the bag cool. And then ask the kids to wash their hands before they eat. So that's really important. Or send them in with some wipes or something. But washing just with warm soapy water is the best way.
And even if the food is dry, you'd still need to be washing the lunch boxes, the bottles every day.
Everything has to
Soapy
be washed
water.
when they get home. Yeah, and if there are perishables, they've been out for about 6 hours in the bag, and you can't eat them at that stage. It's just no guarantee that they'd be safe.
Interesting not putting the bag beside the radiator as well, isn't it?
yeah,
Because
for
children
heat.
would just never think of stuff
No.
like that,
But the teachers would have that copped. They have a
they
little
would.
area where they put their bags and their coats and keep the food away from it.
Yeah, but it's just worth saying to them in case.
Of
absolutely.
course, absolutely.
Look at the variety. Look at the variety.
Yeah, and none of that is complex.
No,
or
none of it's
all
out
of
of
it
the
is
ordinary.
doable.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
No, it's not. It's not. It's lunchbox gold, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Aileen.
Aileen. It's
Thank
great
you.
advice.
No
Thank you
problem.
for coming in.